good sleep and brahmacharya. Brahmacharya can be understood in many different ways. The original way was brahmacharya to be with yourself and to unite with the divine, basically. So brahmacharya always has the translation of celibacy. We can extend it also to the connection we have with ourselves, the connection we have with our soul, our inner being, and also the relation we have with others. The more harmonious it is, and the more direct it is felt, then it will also bring like good things for the life. So that's why it's considered one of the pillars. Any relation with the divine, with oneself and with the others is also something that sustains a good health and a good life. So food being the main thing that nourishes our body, nourishes our mind, nourishes our energy. So in Ayurveda, it's one part that is very, very important to know what we should eat according to who we are and depending on which season we are in and which phase of life we are in. And to be able to understand the food, what is good for us, there is this concept of Agni, your capacity to digest anything, to digest the food, to digest the liquid, to digest the words, the emotions, and to digest any events or things that go through the life. So this Agni is one part that is always like an individual concept to understand the transformation, metabolism, digestion. So the fire, as such, has qualities. The same as Vata has its 6 qualities, Pitta has its 6 qualities, Kapha has its 6 qualities. Agni also, to be able to identify and to be able to see, to know what it's doing, also have these characteristics that will allow Agni to function properly. So you know that your Agni is well when you feel the heat, when the Agni is sharp, it's capable of breaking any matter, breaking any elements. It gives lightness also. The fire transforms something into something more subtle, so there is a sense of lightness. It could be understood also as light. It gives a clarity, it gives an understanding, it gives the light to see the way, to see the path. It brings dryness. It makes the water evaporate from the product, so it has also a dryness. And it's subtle. It can be, we don't need like a strong flame for something to disappear or to vanish. So it has also a subtlety that allows to go in every single part of your body, for example. So that's why we know that there is an Agni at every door of the cell to be able to absorb the food you ate, and that comes to give the energy and to give the energy and the power of that cell to do its action. So the subtlety, it's the capacity to pervade everywhere also. According to our constitution, the dosha that is dominant in our constitution, it will tell us also what kind of Agni, what kind of digestive power we have. Most of the time, the Ayurvedic practitioner, when it will ask to check what is the constitution of the patient, one of the questions will always be around appetite, digestion, and how to evacuate. Because the nature of a being will also be linked to that fire. So the Vata dominant people always have an irregular appetite or irregular digestion. So for them, it doesn't feel bad or it doesn't feel wrong that sometimes they feel hungry, sometimes they don't. It's constantly moving for them. If the appetite is irregular, all along the track it will be irregular also. That's why one of the characteristics of Vata is the tendency to be constipated. That's also the same for the bowel. Sometimes it can work well and the stool will come out easily the next day, or sometimes the bowel is either too excited and it retains the stool for too long. When it comes out, it's very hard and difficult to come out, or it's just lazy to make the stool come out. So this irregularity, it's normal for Vata. Vata people also, they are known as being gassy. They have gas in their belly, which is also normal. So a healthy Vata will have just air moving. So it can be burping or it can be gas, flatulence, but that is clear. No smell, no taste, nothing. So the air is just flowing. We are a big pipe from the mouth to the rectum and to the anus, and basically Vata has more. Vata people have more of these than any others. We can call it constipation, but it could be a sense of retention also. They might go every day to the toilet, to the bathroom for stool, but there's a sense of, I could give a little bit more out, or I could push a little bit more out. So for Vata, also that feeling of retention is quite normal. They experience on a regular basis. Then for the Pitta dominant, when we looked at the characteristics of Agni, and we know the characteristics of Pitta, there are many of them that are in common. So that means Pitta is the closest dosha to Agni in similarity. So we often make a mistake of calling Agni Pitta, but no, it's not the same. Agni, it's really the fire that allows you to transform something. So it's an object. Pitta, it's more a subject, or it's more an energy, or it's more a dosha, a matter that has the capacity to decay over the time. Agni will not decay if it stays in its proper feature. So when it's at its best, when it's also dominant in the constitution of the people, Pitta people will be hungry. They have a fire that burns quickly, fast, and they can be hungry very, very fast. Every three hours, they feel like they want to eat. And when they want to eat, the appetite is very strong. That's why for them, it's difficult to keep the time between feeling hungry and reaching the food. Because as soon as this fire starts burning in the stomach, then also it creates irritation in the stomach. The enzymes in the stomach are starting chewing, and so it creates irritation, and this irritation goes to the brain, and the people or the Pitta person becomes impatient or irritated. So we've probably noticed lots of Pitta people around 11 and 1. Most of the time, it's good to give them either something to eat or to give space, or not to feel attacked by their energy. It's normal because we are at the Pitta time, with the Pitta constitution, with probably some appetite or some hunger. So the way they're going to express themselves is going to be really sharp and with no patience in understanding the others or taking the time to explain something. So that's the Pitta attribute when it comes to the appetite. The digestion is quite fast, and for them, in a normal constitution, the stool has the tendency to be slightly loose. It can be of a nice banana shape, but quite soft compared to the Vata that has the tendency to be hard and small. Then we have the Kapha people. So Kapha, knowing the qualities of Kapha, that is heavy, cold, fluid, sticky, slimy, viscous, oily. So apart from oily, when we look at all the other characteristics, they are almost the opposite qualities of Agni. Oily helps the Agni to burn a little bit more. Like when we add some oil or ghee to a fire, it will make the fire go bigger. So this oily part of Kapha allows Kapha to be able to digest a little bit more. But the other qualities make the fire quite small, quite little. So that's why then we know that Kapha people, by nature, they don't have that much appetite. It's more greediness they experience. Greediness for sweet, greediness for salty material, or for things that give some kind of heaviness or density in their body, either to cover some emotions or also to enjoy, because they are more like hedonist people. They love to socialize, to enjoy, to indulge in big meals and all. So they don't have so much appetite. For the Kapha people, instead of eating 2 hands, that is the size of their stomach, maybe 1 hand would be enough, or 2 hands, but 1 meal a day would be perfect. To keep a certain kind of lightness, because Kapha has the tendency to take a little bit more, to be attracted to tastes that are not easy for them to digest, like salty and sweet things. And then you will probably see them after a meal, they can't talk anymore, they feel heavy, or they are even sleeping on the side, because this fire that was small and burning to call for a little bit of food got completely extinguished by the amount of food, or the kind of food they received. So the appetite is quite poor, and also the digestion will take longer. The same as the enzymes that comes in the mouth and in the stomach, those enzymes are of a Kapha type. They are the one that will start the digestion by dissolving or shredding the food, whereas the enzyme that transform the food are of a Pitta quality that comes from the liver, from the gallbladder, and from the pancreas. So the enzymes that are in the stomach and in the mouth, they are not enzymes for transformation. So also those enzymes have the same as the Kapha characteristics. So then that means the digestion for the Kapha will also take longer, because they have a very good enzymes in the stomach and in the saliva, but then with the saliva, but then when it comes to the intestine and the enzymes coming from the liver, might be a little bit weak and prevent from a good digestion. So for them, the digestion will take more like 4 to 5 hours to digest everything. Or if they eat something and they don't do exercise, it will take even longer, and then for dinner, they don't feel hungry. That's why Kapha people need to increase the digestive power, the Agni, by doing exercise, because then they allow the movement and they allow the heat in their body to increase that power to digest. And then we go into details. There are 30 kinds of Agni to be able to digest any bolus you eat. And those different types of Agni, if we look at them in the modern way, they are all the different enzymes and hormones that allow the transformation of food, or the digestive juices. But in Ayurveda, we also believe that you have an energy in the food you eat that needs to be also digested. So the first main one is JATHARAGNI. Jatar means stomach, or the digestive organs that helps to digest the food. So Jatar in Sanskrit is more representing this area of the body, and Agni. So in Jatar, we have all the gastric juices that will help to digest. So those that shreds the food or dislodge the food in the stomach. Then in the duodenum, we have the bile that comes either from the liver or from the gallbladder. And then the pancreatic juices that comes from the pancreas to digest, now to start the proper digestion. And then we have BHOOTAGNI. Bhuta, they are the 5 elements. So we need also some kind of energy to be able to digest the density of earth, the liquidity of water, the fire or fiery elements of fire, the airy air of the air, and Akash, the space. So we need also this energy, this Agni, to do a proper or a thoroughly digestion of the elements. The enzymes that will come to your stomach to be able to digest a potato or to be able to digest puffed rice will be different. So it's in that sense also what you eat will be also treated by this BHOOTAGNI, the capacity to digest different quality of food. And then we have 7 Dhatu Agni. The 7 dhatus in our body, the muscles, the fat, adipose tissues, the bones, the bone marrow, and the gametes, the sperm and the ovum. So these 7 dhatus also need to be nourished by the food we eat. And so at every door of these dhatus, these 7 main dhatus that compose our body, then we also need a kind of transformation, a fire that will absorb the food to nourish all these elements. So here is just a quick picture of all the organs that are for the place of Jatar and where the enzymes come from, mostly for the digestion of the food. So the liver and the gallbladder will be more like Pitta kind of organs. The stomach is more a Kapha type of organ. The intestine is the site of Pitta, where Pitta resides and does the transformation. And the large intestine is the Vata site for the Vata, the air, to settle and to be in place. This JATHARAGNI here, you will know if yours is working well. So you can touch your belly before eating and check if your belly is hot, warm, or cold, or cool. You can make the difference also if it's sweaty and it feels a little bit cool. It's different that the surface can feel cool, but still underneath you feel a certain warmth. And it's necessary because body temperature is 36 degrees. So even if we have a coating of sweat, underneath it's still warm. So when you touch your belly and you feel maybe cool because of the sweating, but under it's warm, then it's good news. Your JATHARAGNI is functioning well. If around the umbilicus you feel cool, cold, that means now the pot where the food is cooking, transforming, if it's cool, then it's not transforming nicely. So it's probably creating some fermentation in that area, and what will come out of the digestion will be something that is more difficult for the body to assimilate, because it's not done into a minute or subtle part that the body can absorb nicely. So then it will create a grosser form of things that the cells, the Agni of the cells can't transform because it's too big, and then it stays either in the bloodstream, and then it could end up as being cholesterol, or like bad cholesterol, triglycerides, or it can be also some kind of sticky material that stick to the walls of the arteries that creates arthritis. All of these, also inflammation, toxins that create any inflammation in any part of your body, is probably also starting that in the small intestine, the fire is not burning properly. So that's why this pot needs to be warm and cooking everything nicely. So here is just a quick summary of all the different kind of Agni. And the normal one, it's called the Samagni, which is the one that you experience when you are at your best, when you feel good, when everything is fine. And then, according to your constitution, you might have the tendency to fall into a Vata or a Pitta or a Kapha. But most of the time, when everything feels good, we have a normal Agni, which is feeling appetite, feeling hungry. After eating the decent portion and appropriate food, we feel energized and we are ready to carry on. The digestion is within 3-4 hours. And then the evacuation the next day, it's also easy and loose. So if you have this, then you know you have a good a good health, because this will sustain your strength and your vitality and your energy. And when it's abnormal, so how are you going to observe yourself to know that now the Agni is a little bit impaired or have some difficulties in burning properly all the food? So the poor digestion can be seen as extra flatulence or gas, and especially smelly gas. It's definitely an indigestion. Also the coolness of all the Jatar area. The digestion that is delayed, it takes much longer now to feel hungry again. Or you are not feeling nourished, you finished your meal, it was quite decent thing, but then after half an hour or so, you again feel hungry, as if you didn't have any food. So this also assess like a poor digestion. The body is probably sending too fast everything, or not taking all the nutrients, the proper nutrients from the food, so then the body asks for more when it's already digesting what it has. So a poor digestion. Poor circulation, that would be the same about the heat. Normally the blood carries the temperature all over and makes the body have a good warmth. So you have cold feet, cold hands, cold extremities, and all. That means the blood also is not well nourished or doesn't have enough heat, because the absorption is probably not proper. Bad complexion. It's very easy to see people who eat well or like healthy food compared to people who don't. They have also the glow or the luster of the face when Agni functions well, that is shiny, that is like a delight to look at. Whereas when the digestion is poor or when we feel sick, we lose this luster. So also the bad complexion and then skin issues like pimples, rashes, and all can also be due to bad Agni. More body, of course, there is definitely some toxin created. What says toxins says acidic. So then whatever odor, whatever smell that will come out of the body of any kind will be with a stronger smell than usual. And also, so more either constipation or going towards watery stool or diarrhea. That also show a bad one. And no energy. You wake up in the morning, you feel heavy, you want to sleep more. Even if you sleep more, it doesn't change anything. So that shows also that your energy, your power, your Agni is not there to give you the vitality you need to perform what you have to do. So Samagni, it's the normal when all the doshas are fine and the Agni shines properly. And then we're going to call them Vishamagni, Tikshnagni, and Mandagni. Here we are entering into disease or symptoms. Now, the Vata imbalance, we are not talking about a Vata person. We are talking about a person that is affected by too much air and affects Agni. So if there's too much air, too much wind, what does it do on the fire? Either a little bit of air stimulates, but too much air stop the fire. So that's what we have in mind when we have Vishamagni. It's because the air is too strong and it kills the fire. So we're going to have the same characteristics, which is even more irregularity. Vata people that wants to do fasting, they are also preventing this fire to burn properly. We know fasting increase a certain air or the Vata in the body, because it creates lightness and it creates also some subtlety, like to go into energies that are much more subtle than when we eat things that give gravity. The Vata element, if fasting is drawn for too long in a body that is used to receive some food, then it can create also this Vishamagni, where now the fire or the body doesn't know when to do the fire. So then this Vata imbalance becomes more and more difficult for the people to feel hungry. Anorexia, it's definitely this. They've been pushing and rejecting the Agni, the appetite or the desire to eat for far too long. And now the body is incapable anymore to produce enzymes to be able to digest. So then becomes the vicious circle of not being able to digest anything. So that's the irregularity that turns towards diminishing the Agni until it's completely reduced and it's non-existent. Tikshna Agni, it's the different one. Tikshna means strong, sharp. So that means this one is ultra violent. It's an Agni or a strong fire that destroys everything very quickly. So the food is not at all digested properly to be able to be absorbed by the body. And most of the time, the food comes in, it's digested too fast, and it comes out very, very fast, very quick. So the people who have Tikshna Agni are the people that suffers from diarrhea. It doesn't absorb, and they lose weight no matter how the amount of food they eat. So this Tikshna Agni needs to be quietened and to be a little bit cooling to allow a proper pace of digesting and not destroying everything. It has to be cooked but not burnt. We don't want charcoal. And Tikshna Agni does charcoal, so not at all nourishing for the body. And then we have Manda Agni. Manda means slow. So this Agni, we had a nice fire, everything was working well and all, and then comes the monsoon, for example. More humidity in the air, more coldness in the atmosphere, and maybe we don't adapt so well, but we can feel that maybe our digestion now becomes more heavy. Or if we carry on eating what we were eating in the summer, the food is not appropriate. In the summer, we are more keen on eating raw food or drinking more liquid because we sweat, and so we need to replace the liquid. And we carry on doing the same because sometimes we know that it's good for us, so we don't adapt. But this food, with now the climate characteristics, it's not appropriate and will make the fire a little bit less potent to be able to digest everything. So Manda Agni, it's also considered as a Kapha imbalance or Kapha symptoms because everything will be delay. Delay in having the appetite, delay in digesting all the food, and delay in passing stool. But the delay will be not in quantity. Vata will be delayed in passing stool because it has too much retention or constipation. Kapha doesn't have a problem of retention. The bowel functions well and makes it come out, but it's lazy. So instead of making the food going around the bowel and absorb the water, it will just take its time. And so when maybe it will skip one day because, the bowel is lazy to bring the stool all the way. So it's more out of laziness and lack of energy or lack of stimulant. It's not like Vata. Vata has probably too much stimulant that makes the bowel absorb too much. And then it becomes dry, so it gets stuck. It doesn't want to move. So all these states here, they are symptomatic and they are more like a disease state. So here it's just to repeat what are the different kind of Agni with an image to explain the enzymes in the stomach and in the liver that comes, and then after all the different Agni at all the different level of tissues to be able to absorb and nourish the body at all their level, and also at the cellular level, the capacity to absorb everything. BHOOTAGNI. So we saw that BHOOTAGNI will be the Agni, the fire that will digest the elements, the 5 elements. So depending on what you eat, you know that you will need a power, an Agni that is strong. So that's why the lunch is always the meal that is the most important, because it's at lunch that we have the best Agni, the best digestive power. So at lunch, it would be the time when we can eat all these three, because now the fire will have the capacity to digest everything. Proteins are the one that requires more energy to be digested. So when we're going to put the food into the stomach, we're going to put by layers from the heaviest, or what requires more energy to digest, to the lightest. So at the beginning, we're going to start either with the proteins or with the raw food. Raw food needs also some kind of energy. The body needs to cook it and then to digest it. So proteins or raw food are considered as those that requires more energy to be digested. Fats makes the fire easy to burn, and also it's mixed with the whole food. There's no need to take it separately. Fats, we can take it separately if we want to achieve something in our body. For example, lots of people who have joint pain, arthritis, or constipation because of hard stool, they need more lubrication. So then they will take the fat first, because it will be the first thing that comes to the stomach, will be digested, and then can nourish the whole body. But otherwise, fat is more mixed with the food to make it easy to digest also for the body. Carbs, it's also a sweet source of food. So we have the simple carbs in the vegetables and in the fruits, and the complex carbs in the grains, whole grains, and cereals. So when it comes to digestion, proteins needs the heaviest, and especially meat, fish, all the animal proteins need more energy. Then after the vegetable proteins like dal, lentils, beans, they can be treated as the same as rice and grains. So if we eat khichdi, which is a mix of mung dal with rice, then it's fine. Like the vegetable proteins and grains require the same energy. They will have a different effect on the body, but they require the same energy to be transformed. And the good carbs, or the healthy carbs, are from the vegetables and from the fruits. If we have lots of physical activities or mental activities, we need to write, we need to finish a book, or we need to do something, then we can have the cereals or the grains, and lunch would be the best time to take it. We don't want it for the dinner, because there's no need to have energy in our body to digest, and it will make the liver a little bit too agitated also if you have carbs at night, and you will probably wake up during that 1 to 3. So the enzymes will transform the carbs into glucose, and glucose, we know it's what will give you the energy. The proteins will be transformed into amino acids, and that's the one that will give you the structure, so to nourish all your tissues, and also to give you the strength. You need to pull something, you need to hold someone, you need to remove or move house. You need your protein to have this strength. And fats into fatty acids, and that will be also for lubrications, or any tissue is always coated with the light oily matter. And so the fat you eat, the good fat, then will be able to nourish everything. And also to give you better elasticity on your skin. Then BHOOTAGNI and the different enzymes. So here is just like the picture of what your body does, and especially at night after the digestion. Lunchtime, you had your food. The whole afternoon, it's slowly going down. One part of your food will go first into the bloodstream and will go through the liver to be clean, to make sure that there are no big particles or fatty things that can go further to the lungs and to the heart and the rest of the body. So one part of this food that has been digested in the small intestine goes to the vein and goes to the liver to be clear, clean. And then it reaches the lungs and the heart, oxygenated, and then we can go and nourish the whole body. And the liver also is the one that needs to receive its nourishment to be able to produce the enzymes and also to give you the strength. The liver is known as the big brother of all the organs. It's the one that has the most activity functions in our body. So that's why it's the one that is more important than the heart, basically. If the liver has damage, it's much more difficult to treat than the heart. The capacity of the liver to digest and absorb also its main function by producing the bile and giving it to the gallbladder. And whenever you eat something that is too heavy, too oily, or deep fried, the gallbladder sends more bile, and the liver also has to work more. And the time of the liver is between 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the morning. And when you wake up at that time, it's the time where normally the liver receives also all this blood to be digested. And if the food has been properly digested, because it was of a good quality, then you won't wake up. The liver just does its function and let the blood carries on, and you are still in your deep sleep, and you will feel in the morning that you are all regenerated, because this blood that has been filtered by liver now has been nourishing the whole rest of the body. Whereas if your food hasn't been taken properly, not at a proper time, also then the liver will do its work, and it will have much more work, so it will make lots of noise at night, and then you wake up and it's difficult to fall back to sleep, because also it's the Vata time. So if you are a little bit agitated in your mind, then also it will make it more difficult. And you might wake up with some kind of uneasiness in your stomach. The 7 main tissues in our body are the tissues that from these 7, so from the plasma, the red blood cells, the muscles, adipose tissue, bones, and the bone marrow, and the sperm and the ovum. From these 7 tissues, then we have all the byproducts that creates the rest of the tissues. For example, from the bones, the byproducts of the bones are the nails, the hair, the teeth. So also whenever in Ayurveda, whenever we look at the symptoms or at a problem, where it takes place can tell us which one of these 7 is also with a problem. And what happens when we give the sequence, we give them in an order that they describe 3 ways of the body to nourish the whole body. Sequence is, you're not going to sell at the 7 tissues and start by the bone marrow, the red blood cells, the plasma. You always give them in a specific order, which is plasma, red blood cells, muscles, adipose tissue, bones, bone marrow, and gametes. Because when they describe how the body nourishes itself, one of the main explanations of how the body nourishes, it starts always by the most important tissue of the body will receive the best part of the food. Whatever comes out of the food, the chyle that is of the best quality, will receive the most part to nourish. And then all the others will also receive some food, but not in the same quantity. So the plasma receive most of our food that we ingest. The red blood cell receive the second most, and all the way to the sperm and ovum. So that's in terms of quantity. How the body absorbs in terms of quantity, plasma takes the most, then the red blood cell, blah, 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 blah. In terms of quality, the best quality it's the opposite. Every time it goes from one tissue to another to be nourished, it goes through a purification. Because to transform the plasma with the nourishment and to be able to nourish the red blood cells, it goes through an Agni. And so that means that there are 7 transformations to reach the ovum and the sperm. So what nourishes the ovum and the sperm is the pure essence of the food, basically. And that's why when a couple wants to have a child, they're going to pay careful, they're going to be very much careful with the food they eat, because that's what's going to nourish also the quality of the sperm and ovum. And if they give the proper food, then there won't be any infertility or miscarriage. In terms of quantity, it's in that side that the body receives the food, but in terms of quality, the best is what is nourishing at the end. The third one that describes more or less how long it takes to nourish the plasma, to nourish the red blood cells, and they count more or less as 5 days, 5 days, 5 days. To go from the plasma to the red blood cells, to the muscles, to the adipose tissue, all the way up, it's like you wait for 5 days. So basically, you want to have a better bone marrow or better sperm and ovum. Then for 1 month, you're going to treat or to be careful with what you eat, because what will come at the end will be of a better quality. So yeah, you want to make your bones stronger, for example, then you will need like 20 days. If you, for osteoporosis, for example, it's not by just taking something for 1 week or 2 weeks. No, it's a minimum of 20 days. But if it's for the plasma, just a minimum of 5 days, and that should be enough. So that's how we consider also what we eat and the way we eat. And here, Pilu and PITTARAGNI, it's something that hasn't been very much described in Ayurveda in the text. It's to explain how a cell absorbs the food or the nutrients that have been given by the body. So here, at this level, at the cellular level, you also have the Agni that is on the outer portion that allows the nutrients to come out, any toxin that allows to go out. Also the minerals that allows to come in and to come out. So all this exchange of gases, exchange of nutrients or whatever, it's also known as Pilu and PITTARAGNI.